Okay, we're up and running, so I shall start with loading up the on-air company manager. Okay, so this is now the main screen of the on-air airline manager. And I'll just load up my company. So the screen that you should be looking at right now is the main screen of the flight company. So your dashboard, it gives you all the information that you need to know, how many pending jobs, how many aircrafts you own, forward base of operations, your level, how many employees, and everything like that. So now we've loaded up the live operations map, which will show you where your employees, your planes are currently located around the world. When I first started, I decided that I would go to Parafield Airport in Adelaide, as it's the airport that I am most familiar with. And as you can see here, I have three people. The first one, the orange one, is my mechanic, who has to service the planes. They have to go through 100-hour checks, annual services. You get damage on your engine and on the actual airframe, so you need a mechanic to be able to repair all of that from time to time. The second one, with the Z's above her head, she is currently asleep in my crew lounge. She had a big day yesterday. She was flying for most of the day. And the other guy with the tick above him, he is ready for action. I can send him on a flight if I wish to do so. The two aeroplane icons up the top of the airport, one has a blue cog. That's one that I'm currently repairing. If you have a look on the left hand side, you'll see the Cessna Skyhawk G1000 Azorbo with the same icon in it. That's the plane that's being repaired at the moment. And the other one with the tick is a plane that is ready to be in service, which would be the Cap 10C aircraft. As the other Cessna Skyhawk G1000 with the tick on it on the left hand side is the plane that is with me at Cowell, I believe it's pronounced. So what I'm about to do is go and have a look at my aircraft page, which shows me my 3 aircraft and where they are located, what condition they're in, whether they're being repaired or idle, how much payload and everything they can take, the cruising speeds, how many seats they have on it, and how many hours the airframe has actually done. Now what I'm going to do here is set a work order for the Cat 10C aircraft, which I did fly and I didn't like the aircraft, so that has now become my AI's aircraft. Okay, so I'm about to start to create a work order for the Cat 10. We have a list of cargo that is currently available at the airport that it is situated at. We'll make sure we put our pilot that is on duty. When does... Oh, okay. His flight duty has already ended, so I cannot put him on. If I do, I am going to risk a fine. And my other pilot is currently sleeping until 1:50 p.m. and currently on the game server it is 8:46 a.m. So currently I do not have a pilot available to be able to do that, so I am going to have to abandon that idea. Which would mean I am currently the only pilot in my company that is able to do a flight. So we shall set up a flight for myself. Okay, so we are now currently in the page where you set up your flight. I've got my fuel levels at 90%. We have loaded some equipment pallets on board and we will be travelling to Adelaide International Airport. And everything looks good on that one, so we will go confirm and fly now. This is your apron workers, so if there is passengers to be boarded, it will take some time for them to get on the plane, so you have to wait a little bit. If you're adding fuel, same thing, you have to wait for them to put the fuel on board, and same with the cargo. So this one is all loaded, ready to go. Now we select our destination airport, which was Yankee Papa Alpha Delta. Oh, that didn't go in correctly. Let me fix that. Why did that do that? Maybe it's because I'm holding my push to talk button. No. Okay, there we go. That's better. And our alternative airport would be Broken Hill. So whilst you're in flight, if you realise you can't get to Adelaide, you can then divert to Broken Hill and it will still accept the order. Because we're flying the airplane, we don't have to worry about section 3. What we can do is go straight to the tracking page, which I will do. Okay, so now I have to load up Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm just going to have to move this page over to my other screen for a minute, and I will load up the flight simulator. Just waiting on my flight simulator to actually load. Okay, so at this stage we just have to plan the flight within the flight simulator. Okay, so now that the simulator is loaded, we have to go to the world map. The plane that you have purchased within the air hauler company has to match on the flight simulator. So I actually purchased the 172, so that's what we got. And we are going to go in and set our tail number to msfs2020+onair. Then I'll put in my call sign, I should say, sorry, which I'm just going to make Fangstar. Makes it easy to tell when the ATC is actually talking to you. And I typically make the flight number 78 as well, which makes it so that the ATC, when it actually calls me, will be calling me by my username Fangstar78. I must apologise for any background noise that you might be hearing. I have children and they're not always quiet. Okay, as we can see on this page, everything is okay bar the location because I haven't started flying. So we can see that we need to start from YCWL and we need to go to YPAD. So what we do on the flight simulator is we need to make sure our departure is the same airport as what the program is telling us. Then we also need to make sure that the destination airport is also going to match up. Now you can actually choose what runway you would like, or as I tend to, you just click on runways and it will be automatically assigned to you according to what the active runway is when you get closer to Adelaide. You can fly direct via GPS by VOR to VOR, or you can do instrument flight rules at low altitudes or high altitudes. Since I'm in the Cessna, I like to make sure I'm doing the low altitude airwaves, which you can see now it is automatically putting 2 other waypoints for us to go to. So we'll be going from there straight to Mesa and then on to Margot, which is right there, and then on to Adelaide International Airport. If we click on Navlog, you can set the altitude which you wish to fly. So you can set your altitude. So today we'll be flying in at about 6,000 feet, and then it will give you your flight path with your climb, cruise and descent. The only other thing I have to make sure I check is my fuel load. Now the on-air company manager is supposed to automatically load your aircraft and automatically load your fuel. With Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, they have been having issues with SimConnect, which is a program that allows the two programs to communicate with each other, plus some add-on panels like my autopilot panel. It allows your joysticks and the like to communicate with Microsoft Flight Simulator. They've been having some issues with it, so I'm double checking that my fuel matches what I had on the program. I have been caught out twice now where I've told the on-air company manager to fill my plane up to about 80%. I load up the simulator assuming that it's going to do its job and automatically load that on for me, and then I find out I'm actually taking off with a lot less fuel. So I like to double check that that's all the same. So once you made sure that everything's set within the flight simulator, you can click fly and it will load. When everything's in place, you will see all green ticks on the side and start tracking will become available. But I do not recommend to hit start tracking until the simulator is fully loaded and you have yourself in a position ready to go. There are a couple of rules. You cannot start the tracking if the engine is running automatically. You're not supposed to start on a runway, because that will incur a penalty. But unfortunately at Cowell there are no parking positions, so when we load up we'll have the engine already started. It will shut off because I've got all my controls to turn off, so it'll automatically go into a cold and dark situation, and then I'll come back and press start tracking. So we'll get this out of the way for now. Right, and then we'll come over to this screen and we'll click ready to fly. And as you can see, my aeroplane basically shut itself down automatically because I have all my switches turned off. So now it should be safe to come over and hit start tracking. And now it has gone to the tracking page. It's keeping track of the time it's taking you and the fuel on board. It will detect if you crash as well, and you'll have to redo the whole lot again. So I'm going to move this page over as I try not to look at that while I'm flying. For the purpose of this video, I shall... how do I do that again? There we go. I will leave the ATC up in this corner, and I will just minimize that for now as I do not need it just yet. This panel here is the AI control. This is your co-pilot. You can have the co-pilot assist you do checklists which there are predetermined checklists for most of the planes on here. Some of them are extensively long, some of them only have basically how to start your engines. You can also get your co-pilot to manage the radio communications with ATC. For now, I will turn that off, and you can have the co-pilot control the aircraft for you. I tend not to use that, so I'll just leave that off. We'll position. Actually, I'll just minimize that up there. We also have a VFR, Visual Flight Rules map, that can keep track of where you're flying. And if I zoom this out a bit, you can see it already has our flight plan loaded into it. And this will keep track of where we are at any given stage. We'll zoom back in a bit so we can see what's going on. So unfortunately, you're most probably not going to be able to see this one because I like to pull this off to my second screen so I can make it a little bit larger. So, but you do have that option within the flight simulator to keep track of where you are. Okay, so now that's on the other screen, we'll open up the ATC. Now, this particular aircraft has quite a long checklist, so you can do everything on this one, from normal takeoff, your cruise, your descent. I've learnt how to start the engine without going through the checklist, and that's what I'll be doing this time around. So, but if you end up getting the game, it's a good way of learning how to control your aircraft and what different things do. Actually, no, I'll show you the pre-flight inspection just to show you what it's like. Okay, so this is our checklist page, and I'll reset this page. There we go. So this is how it comes up the first time. And you can tell it to auto-complete the page and it will just complete everything on the checklist by itself. Or we can click evaluation. Now with evaluation, your co-pilot then helps you and it will show you exactly everything it's talking about. So we'll give you a little example.
Aircraft documents.
Of course, with the aircraft documents, it's assuming that you've got all the information necessary, and you actually have to manually tick that item to make it go on.
Check. Parking brake. Set. Ignition. Off. Avionics switch, bus 1 and bus 2. Off. Battery switch. On. Fuel quantity indicators. Check. Low fuel L and low fuel R annunciators. Off. Avionics switch, bus 1 and bus 2. On. Avionics cooling fan.
I'm not sure how clearly you can hear that in the background, but you can hear a sort of like a buzzing noise of a fan, which tells me that it's working.
Audible. Avionics switch, bus 1 and bus 2. Off. Static pressure all source valve. Off. Annunciator panel. Test. Fuel selector. Both. Fuel shut-off valve. Open. Flaps.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get my autopilot panel to work. I'll just do it with the mouse for now.
Down. Pitot heat. On check working. Pitot heat. Off. Battery switch.
So I have a honeycomb yoke which has my battery switch, light switches, my magnetos all part of it. So when you're seeing these switches move, I'm actually pressing a switch on my yoke which then activates it on the screen.
Off. Elevator trim. Neutral.
And there we go, that's basically what happens with your checklist. And now I could go on to before starting the engine and so on through the whole lot of the checklists as we go. But that's one way of getting to learn your aircraft. Now you can do it without the evaluation from your co-pilot. It just means you